back to the Big Gold Podcast, your weekly episodic listening experience where we cover WCW Monday Nitro in its entirety.
That's right, folks. We cover everything from Hulk Hogan in a monster truck to Kevin Sullivan being a cuck.
Right you are, and we will be your guides through this wrestling odyssey, the voices of tomorrow, the Midwest mouthpieces, Mr. Peace, everyone, and I am Mike Ogden wishing all of you an enjoyable Monday morning.
All right, let's get to it and ring the bell.
Okay, so jumping right into this now, I thought that this was a vast improvement over episode 1 of Monday Nitro.
You are shit ass wrong.
You know
and
what?
That is not the last time I'll be saying that.
No, it's not. But here's the thing. Today, I will be proving you wrong, and you will be joining my side by the end of this podcast.
You are
just
a
like last
fucking
week.
human anime body pillow, and you will be beaten featherless.
You know, I guess there could be worse things in this world. So, I just want to say...
there? That's...
I think there could be worse things than being an anime.
Sorry to interrupt you and just bring it to a halt. I'm just like, could there be?
The questions we all ask ourselves every Monday morning. So, starting off, something that I realized that was driving me bananas about episode 1 that I absolutely loved here, we had an arena. We had pyro.
Oh, yeah.
We had a setting. We had a stage. It looks fucking great.
Well, the reason they didn't have it in the first episode was the set wasn't ready. And Bischoff said he didn't. Well, sorry. Bischoff has been noted as saying on numerous podcasts and interviews that he didn't want to rush the set because then that would be like the iconic thing. So it'd be better if he just, was patient with it and presented it with just the kind of same setup they did like WCW Saturday Night.
Sure. And that makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, you're also in the Mall of America. You're not in an arena.
Yeah, it's hard to set up.
The lighting is wrong.
You
Everything
can't just
looks
shoot
wrong.
You can't just shoot fireworks in the Mall of America. Trust me. I've got the court orders to prove it.
But Miami, Florida is hyped for this September 11th episode of Monday Nitro.
Yep.
Everything looks great. The crowd is super into it. And the beginning was nowhere near as drawn out as it was in the previous week. Yes, we started off with a shot of the commentators, which is perfectly normal, but rather than being there for a solid 3 to 4 minutes, it was maybe 90 seconds tops. We didn't have Mongo McMichael showing off a hand buzzer.
No, he wasn't there till about a minute 12. It was a glorious minute 12 till he came and just opened his mouth and sucked in any entertainment into the black hole of the abyss.
Yeah. It was a very solid minute, wasn't it?
It was.
Made me feel good.
And then he goes off and he said, "This is going to be the biggest thing on TV since the little old lady said, 'Where's the beef?'" Totally forgetting that the motherfucker that shot the president got shot on live TV. So it's a pretty big competition.
Yeah, it's pretty hefty competition to say the least. So they announced that we've got Hulk Hogan versus Lex Luger as the main event, plus a U.S. title match, plus we're going to have Sabu in a match. It's a very stacked card. I don't believe they mentioned anything about Macho Man in action later in the evening, but we did also receive that as well against Scott Norton.
Mongo is also dressed like Elaine's boss from Seinfeld, and there's our first Seinfeld episode, or Seinfeld reference of the episode. So
it is our very first one. I'm sure we're going to get at least, like I said last week, a dozen more. Then again, as soon as I said that, we stopped.
Yeah, I know.
We stopped doing it.
I don't want to just start like trying to squeeze them out and just juice it dry, though.
Real quick, while we were talking about Mongo in his attire, we have our worst and best dressed. Mongo hit my worst dressed list. Easy
entirely.
Yeah.
Already.
I'll talk about best dressed when we get there, but Mongo.
I'll say it now. Scott Norton in that petite size spandex onesie. My God.
Mine is from the same match, but it's gonna be it's Macho Man in his bright green fucking getup. Oh, it was fantastic.
Imagine if you ever got hit by a truck. The police would be like, "How the heck did you do that? It's a walking traffic cone."
How did you hit him?
Oh, and they keep also going off about Vader not being there, and Bischoff saying Vader had the whole episode. He's going, Vader hasn't turned in the proper paperwork, which is weird to see. Like, think of Vader in his house, like in like a golf t-shirt, sitting there with like this mask on, just like hammering and just like stabbing the paper. Better turn that in. It's like, no, he beat the living shit. It's a weird way of saying he beat the hell out of Mr. Wonderful, and that's why he's not going to be here.
I thought that was really strange that they kept putting it that way, but they needed to explain that Hulk Hogan's team was down 3 people to 4 people for War Games that coming Sunday, which helps build to the story plot that we were going to receive later in the evening. So they needed to announce that.
And Mongo is crushed when Bobby Heenan brings it. He has his head in his hands.
Yeah, it was a big deal to him.
Sir,
why didn't I get the call?
Sir, your father's just been in an automobile accident. I don't care about that. Do you know Hulk Hogan is down 3-4 for Sunday? Another fun fact. Originally, it was supposed to be Vader wrestling Hulk Hogan tonight for the WCW title. Yeah. When he was, I guess, had that scuffle and then fired or kicked out or what have you, allegedly, Lex Luger came, or when they brought in Lex Luger, they just put him in his spot. It was originally supposed to be building to Vader wrestling Hogan tonight on the September 11th, 1995.
Interesting.
episode.
That would have been a much different episode for sure.
Oh, I at least still love watching Vader wrestle Hulk Hogan because he could have killed him at any minute.
Vader fucking, oh my God, what a legend.
Amazing. R.I.P. big man.
Yep.
So let's get to it. Our first match, Alex Wright takes on Sabu. It is so weird seeing Sabu in WCW.
Isn't it though?
And he's only here for like a quick cup of tea. Like he's only here for, I think, like maybe less than 4 matches on TV and pay-per-view.
There's not a lot that he's
Not
doing.
a lot. It's always so weird to see him and a lot of other ECW guys not in the ECW arena, or even when they're wrestling for, WWE, or where they're on WWF Monday Night Raw, or even, later on in TNA. It's especially weird here in the early 90s to see him in WCW.
Well, and it must have been a little jarring for the WCW audience also, because you had Alex Wright, who was very much this pretty boy. He had the physique, he had the body, and then you've got Sabu, who's scarred all over the place, especially on some of those up close shots of his chest as he's walking past the camera.
Oh yeah,
you can just see
he's
how
a walking
mangled he is.
corkboard.
And it's 95. Like I saw Sabu years later, 98, 99, 2000, and he still looked like that. That doesn't go away. Doesn't just fade away. But even in 95, even in years prior, like that's how long he'd been doing this. That's how much effort he'd been putting into all of that body of work. So that juxtaposition between Sabu and Alex Wright really kind of displayed that this character is not normal. He is not cut from the same cloth as a standard WCW, character.
And Bischoff went off that same fact. He said suicide is a great way to describe how he approaches the sport, which is just an amazing way to hype up Sabu. Whereas Mongo is just calling Alex Wright the Germanic Dynamo, which was what I want to be called from now on. The Germanic Dynamo, Mr. Peace, everyone.
That's a really good moniker. I like it.
Oh no, it's way better. But getting into it, also starting off, I'm sorry, another Mongo thing. He was like, Sabu looks like a lot of little fullbacks. I'm just like, oh my God, please shut the fuck up.
It's just never ending. It doesn't stop.
Heenan said Sabu will take the wooden leg off somebody and beat Alex Wright, which I just really would love to see that.
That definitely would have been worth your money.
Oh, definitely. This match I want to say it goes, obviously, because, it's not the international flavor, but it kind of is because, they're saying Sabu's from Bombay, India. Alex Wright is from Germany. So we're keeping in from where we started off last week with a really quick, high-flying, fast-paced international flavor match. It's another great way to start this.
It's very much an exotic start in comparison to, keeping the domestic talent, the domestic big men at a match. You get that later in the evening, but you're starting off with these much smaller, more high-flying, more energetic, much more unstable, quote-unquote, wrestlers like Sabu. It's very different for the WCW audience. It's a good change of pace.
Oh, it's great. They're doing German suplexes. He's jumping off a chair to the guardrail, head scissors to the outside. It's just all over the place. I want to say this is almost as good, if not better, than Pillman versus Liger.
I think it was better than Pillman versus Liger in my opinion. I liked it a lot.
It's weird to say this about Sabu versus Alex Wright. I could have watched them wrestle forever.
I could have taken an extra 10 minutes before I probably would have complained.
Mm-hmm. My favorite part of the match is when Sabu does his point to the sky taunt and then gets drop kicked the fuck out of the ring by Alex Wright. That or the shot of the guy wearing the big, huge foam neon green cowboy hat. Oh my God. At one point, Alex Wright moonsaults over Sabu. Imagine seeing this and then flipping the channel over to watch WWF Raw.
Oh, it wouldn't even have been a comparison.
It's ridiculous.
No, he does the full backflip over him. He's landing some baseball slides. They had a beautiful superplex. The backflip, what followed the backflip was a German suplex pin that looked really, really good. Leading up until, Sabu, he kind of did the, the Arabian moonsault, and then he got the 1-2-3 pin.
No, it was the avalanche victory roll from the top rope.
Okay.
And then he did the Arabian press at the end through the table.
That's what it was.
Yeah, let's talk about why Nick Patrick doesn't know what the hell is going on. So Sabu gets the 1-2-3 and then does the Arabian press to Alex Wright through the table and then gets the decision reversed.
Yeah, they reversed the decision.
What kind of 1995 refereeing? The officiating throughout this whole episode had me steamed.
It's definitely
steamed like Brussels sprouts, my friend.
Yeah, it was for all of the very, very high points in the matches, which I don't think there was a single bad match on this card this evening.
You're so wrong.
There was not a bad match. There's not. There is horrendous decision making in the finishes, though. The finishes, especially to one of my favorite matches in the evening, which we'll get to later. What the fuck were they thinking? There's so many poor decisions. Real quick before we wrap up this particular match, what I thought was really cool is when Alex Wright, got the pin, when Sabu got the pin on Alex Wright still tried to kick out after the 3 count. That's something you don't see, especially today in wrestling. It's just the 1, 2, 3. Nobody kicks out, nobody moves. He still tried to kick out after the 3, saying, I'm still in this fight, I'm not down, but he still loses. He still loses by the ref's 3 count. It doesn't make him look completely weak. He still had more fight in him.
He's Dawes Wonder Kid. He's great.
Yeah, I think that's always a really good touch. You can't do it all the time with every opponent, but when you see something like that, that made me want to see more from Alex Wright.
Oh, he's fantastical.
Yeah,
definitely.
It was great.
Hands up. I would love that match. Up next, our next segment, Mean Gene Okerlund is out there. Here comes Ric Flair with my favorite Nature Boy haircut.
Yeah,
with the
absolutely.
Really, really bad disconnect and shaped. Oh, it's so putrid, but just my favorite.
I don't want anything else on him. I prefer it over the long-haired look.
Oh, yeah. Flair comes out, talks to Okerlund, and says that Arn Anderson is not by his side. He's basically giving him shit for wanting to spend time and talk to his wife and his son.
I mean,
fuck your son's softball game, motherfucker.
Nobody else but Ric Flair can act like that, and people were like, yeah, of course. Fuck Arn Anderson.
I got a bottle of liquor and some chorizo coppers waiting for me in the back, Arn. Woo! You want to talk about your son's soccer game, daddy? Oh, man, yes, that is me doing the worst Ric Flair impression of all time.
The only person who can do Ric Flair is Ric Flair.
No. And then Lex Luger comes out, and Flair is just running him down, talking about his physique and everything. He's 6'5", 275 pounds, 22-inch arms, a 60-inch chest, mullet, perfect.
Perfect mullet.
Tooth gap is sizable. His palms do not stink.
No. Hulk Hogan was incorrect.
Oh, quick side story for everybody else. A few nights ago, we were actually playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons, and to make it for everyone, just goes and just reaches for the volume button, just turns it off. Just clicks off.
Everybody's disconnected.
Just, oh yeah, no one else is listening to us. Anyway, we were having like an in-game conversation. I was a monk, Mike was being a merchant, and we were making a deal. And he said at the very end, "All right, brother, put out your stinky paw."
I'm keeping the stinky palms alive.
Oh my god. Near the end, Flair says the package takes control, and that is also probably what he says when everyone asks him where all of his money went.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So up next, what do we got? Sting versus VK Wall Street.
This for me was my match of the night.
Oh my god, I wish I could just break this
VK Wall Street
and stab myself in the neck.
This was
and stain your carpet with my blood and disappointment.
There was nothing wrong with this match, and I dare you to tell me otherwise and explain to me how I'm wrong on this. VK Wall Street probably put up his best match ever in his career here, and it's mostly because of Sting.
No, if you were Baskin Robbins, you would have 32 flavors of wrong.
Not true.
So your ice cream and your just beliefs are terrible. Before we even get to the match, though, real quick, this is the first time, the legendary moment where Eric Bischoff starts giving away WWF Raw results. He said, if you're going to change the channel, don't bother. He said in the main event, Shawn beat the big guy Sid with a super kick that wouldn't hurt a green belt, which is my new favorite insult.
That's really good.
Oh man, why they're starting, Heenan asks about, he's like, I want to talk to this guy about the market, and Mongo says, the supermarket? He said VK will be back in groceries by the end of this. And then Heenan says VK Wall Street will buy this place and have you back on the bench where you used to be. Just Bobby Heenan eviscerating Mongo at every single turn. You get the feeling he's really holding back.
Oh, absolutely. I actually, we take notes for all of these episodes. We're not just completely insane people, but I wrote down here from Heenan, just think, Michael, if you came off the line like that, you could have sacked a guy or two. The commentary is just top fucking notch from Bobby Heenan right now.
Mongo was saying, Raw, is that named after a bunch of uncooked eggs? I was like, you know what, Mongo? I'll give that to you. Yeah. That was a good one.
Some dead air while we take a drink here. No, I feel this is the best match that I'd ever seen from Rotunda, from any of his gimmicks that he'd ever pulled. He had snap. He was taking all of his bumps with quickness. He was hitting the ropes with style. When he threw Sting out of the ring, he made it really look like he's just whipping him out there with zero regard for his physical being.
I don't know, man. He seemed very lethargic during this whole time.
No, he
did not seem like he cared to be there or not. And I really can't sit here and argue with you because I don't just have the best IRS/Wall Street match in my head. Be like, no, you fool. I really can't think of what I would say his best match is. I guess that's something now I'm going to have to spend my life searching for.
You're gonna have to look for it.
Because I never thought someone would come up and be like, what do you think is the best, best VK Wall Street match? I just think he's just, and we see this with a lot of guys coming in and just getting WCW money. I really think he's just phoning it in.
See, and I can understand where you're coming from with that. I feel this being his first match on Nitro, I think he gave a lot more into this than he did with any of the IRS gimmick or anything like that, because I did agree with you last week, and I do agree with you. A lot of his work was kind of phoning it in. It was kind of bland. It really wasn't pushing any sort of envelopes. He was just there to take the loss and move on with his day, sometimes occasionally getting a pinfall. But here, it really looked like he was vying for the U.S. title. He was really coming at Sting, but Sting is the better man. He is the better wrestler.
And Mongo, Heenan, and Bischoff are all putting over Sting. Mostly his speed. Last week, it was really his strength, and this week they're just putting over his speed, his ring intellect. Say what you want. I'll say what I want about this episode, any episode, or Mongo or the commentary team. They are phenomenal at putting over Sting and building him up.
Absolutely.
Just second to none to putting him up.
Because they know that he's going to be a top star.
Building him like a
top star.
It is great.
Yep. No, they put the whole contest over. I mean, especially all of his
for
work
such
that
a
was
crap
doing.
quality match. They were putting it over.
See, it was not. I thought it was really good. I think this was the best match of the past 2 weeks. Easy.
Yeah, he was basically. They could have just had an enhancement talent. Like, I understand. It's like, he's taking out IRS. But to me, it just was not anything special.
I think this was significantly better than him versus Ric Flair the week before. This was a vast improvement over that match.
Well, he's not just doing. Well, I'm sorry. I am a fan of 30 consecutive military press slams in a row, sir. So you've offended me in my bloodline. But then it comes to the end. Sting puts away the very lethargic Wall Street with a flying crossbody for the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, no, I think it was a solid mid-card match. Sting goes over. Everybody looks good. I mean, according to you, VK didn't look good. I thought this was, again, his best match. I would like to see another match from him again if he can wrestle like this at this pace, if he can keep this up, which we, of course, know doesn't really happen. That's, hindsight is 2020. He produced children that did it better, and that's great because now he's getting the Bray Wyatt, the Fiend money. He's getting that Bo Dallas money. Good for him.
Oh, that's awesome. But speaking of somebody who's not lethargic, mark your calendars because September 16th, 1995 is when the wrestling landscape was just bulldozed and changed forever. And the tree that is Disco Inferno sprouted out from the earth because they were talking about WCW Saturday Night. Another quick note, Big Bubba Rogers is wrestling in the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship of the company a few nights ago. And now he's on Saturday Night wrestling Dave Sullivan's dyslexic brother.
Yeah.
With a bunny rabbit.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Oh,
he's moving right up in that company, isn't he?
Oh, just to tie a rocket to his back. I just don't understand it. It's like he was just wrestling Hulk. Is that what happens when Hulk beats you? It's like now you've got to take Hulk Hogan's feuding with Sullivan in the Dungeon of Doom. So now, like, once you lose to him, you've got to take on his current foe's younger brother. It's just such a weird thing. Like
it was, yeah, I don't know.
Then up next, we've got Macho Man Randy Savage taking on Scott Norton. And Heenan says if you hear a snap, it won't be a Slim Jim. It might be someone's back. Just top notch.
Oh, it was great. And Scott is a big fucking guy.
He
like,
is
Jesus.
thick with 2 C's.
Yeah.
He is a tractor in spandex.
Good God, man. Like,
My God.
He didn't look that big last week because of the camera angles and everything they were doing. Like, he looks like a big guy, but it wasn't like, you see him walking out there in that spandex, you're like, Jesus.
He is the Haas of Hosses.
Oh, yeah.
He has got coconuts implanted in his chest. During the match, Manga said he heard a pop and thought Heenan was gassy. And this is, weirdly enough, mostly just a beatdown from Norton.
Yeah.
He is stalking Savage like I stalk a Taco Bell burrito and soft taco party pack.
When he grabs Savage off the ground by like the neck and head and just scoops him right back up. Oh man, just to ragdoll him a little bit more, and then he gives him the best bear hug that I think I've ever seen, because it wasn't the throw him around bear hug, you know, where they kind of keep thrashing him. It wasn't the long stress hold bear hug. It was he grabs him, squeezes him with one big one, compresses his whole chest, and throws him to the fucking ground. And Savage sells it like he just got fucking crushed by a fucking steamroller, just toast. He didn't want to move. Yeah, it looked awful.
Oh no. And he hits him with a top rope DDT because fuck Randy Orton.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God. And I would actually pay to see money to see a porno with Scott Norton and Randy Orton covered in baby oil. The RK orgy. I wrote that down. If I get into a car wreck, I'll have this notebook next to me that has stuff about wanting to see Scott Norton just bang Randy Orton in the butt. And I have a scenario. Scott Norton is Randy Orton's girlfriend's dad. She brings him over from college. And it's just like, you want to date my daughter? You got to wrestle me, boy. And then he started heavily mouth kissing, just covered in sweat.
For those of you who are just returning your volume to normal after our D&D stint earlier,
and just turning it right back down.
We appreciate you turning into the BGP. Back to match quality.
Something better than gay porno. The shark hits the ring, and I die laughing.
Oh my God.
I am not here now.
No, my God. I was so fucking upset when the Dungeon of Doom shows up. Where was the disqualification?
Let's get into it real quick. So John Tenta is still being called Avalanche because of Vince being litigious with the lawsuit, but he's the Shark, so it's just like he's the Sharkalanche right now. So yeah, where is this officiating is crap.
Garbage.
He comes in, falls on Norton, and then Savage is able to go up and get come back down off the top rope and get the 1, 2, 3
with a nasty elbow drop across his face. By the way,
oh yeah, that looked haggard. But what is going on with the officiating?
No, it made no fucking sense.
No,
that should have absolutely been a disqualification, or at the very least a no contest. Because why? What the fuck was that? And
then at some point, I forget if it was Mongo or Heenan says, that'll show you Savage is full of tricks. And it's like, Scott Norton is being covered by a 500-pound man. Where's the fucking trick in that?
Yeah, that didn't make any fucking sense at all. Real quick, before we move away from this, I actually wrote this note down here. I could have written it down at any point during the evening, but I wrote it down here, so I'll cover it here. Macho Man is hitting these ropes at lightning fucking speed, man. Every single time he hits the ropes, it's not only with authority, it looks like it's going at 60 miles an hour.
Like a man half his age.
Yeah, seriously. These 18 by 18 rings in WCW are just supreme compared to the 20 by 20 that you've seen in WWF and WWE. Yeah, the ring looks larger when you're at the live show, but the pace is quickened in WCW. The mat has this better sound to it. It's just quality. It's why these matches are so much faster. They have to take less steps to get wherever they need to be.
Do you prefer even just, watching a bigger ring or a smaller ring?
I prefer the smaller ring.
I was going to say, I sometimes weirdly enough, I prefer watching it with like a medium to smaller ring, but sometimes I can get kind of taken out of it if the ring is too small.
Oh, absolutely. If it's a 16 by 16, that's too little. Like when you go to a small indie show like here in town, they've got 16 by 16s just because the space is so little. You need to fit people in the arena as well.
And that's not bad because I'll watch some wrestling and it has the complete full-sized ring and it's just like, be such a chore just to grapple on that thing and just be running back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like be a big, huge test of your stamina.
Yeah, the WWE's 20 by 20, they make it work. They've got talent who can absolutely work within it.
Yeah.
No, but I have always preferred the sound and the snap and the quickness of the WCW rings, which are 18, excuse me, had a whole stroke there for a second, which were, they were 18 by 18. And when we were growing up, you would listen to it and you would hear everything and you'd watch the movie and everybody's like, WCW is a much faster paced environment. It's because it was real, this and that. They're putting over the sport aspect. really it's because it was a smaller ring. They didn't have to take nearly as many steps. You could just fucking go.
Oh no, it's fantastic. Just the way that they're like, everything just seems so much faster and quicker paced in these matches and so much more energetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even like the big Haas match, like with Scott Norton being a Haas, that whole thing didn't seem like it wasn't just, stalling or going nowhere. Like you said, he made a bear hug entertaining.
Right.
That is so, that is just something that's not, rest holds usually aren't, one of the more like note-taking parts of the match.
But the fact that I had to physically write down that was cool, that's awesome.
Let me talk about these bear hugs. You see, you got a few different kinds of bear hugs. You got the snap.
The 6-minute to 7-minute matches in an hour-long promotion, I really wish we could go back to that.
I like an hour of wrestling.
Yeah, drop 3 hours. This is ridiculous. I didn't even mind 2 hours because there was more matches that were 6 to 10 minutes. And I love NXT. I like a lot of modern wrestling that people do, but for fuck's sake, hour-long matches need to be Iron Man matches that are timed at 60 minutes because I need to know when I'm going into it, that's what I'm going to get. Because I'm really tired of every single person requiring a 25-minute match.
I'll take, sometimes when they're too quick, though, it's like, what was the point of that? I'll take 2 hours or even an hour and a half because when you have such a stacked roster
right
in any company, it's really hard every week to show off everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take, 2 hours, but anything past that, it's just like, I don't have the time.
No, for a standard showing, if it's not a pay-per-view should be 3 hours. A standard showing should be 1 hour if it's a smaller roster, 2 if it's a larger roster.
Yeah.
And they really need to kind of reintroduce the 6 to 10 minute storytelling because any wrestler who says you can't tell a story in 6 minutes is just wrong.
No, they pack a lot. From how much I do not like this episode, they pack a lot into an hour.
Yeah, there's 4 matches with
even more than
quality.
last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
With 2 in-ring segments.
Mm-hmm. No, there's a whole lot going on here. This has everything that I want out of a 1 hour long Nitro. This was awesome to me, except for all of the screwy finishes, which we're not even done covering any of the screwy shit. We're not done with that yet because we still have one more match, which is Hogan versus Luger for the WCW title.
Skullet versus Mullet, 1995. Where were you?
Probably in school.
No, you weren't. It's 8 o'clock at night.
Oh, definitely.
My dad said, just stay there. You're an embarrassment.
You didn't learn shit.
Go back. They keep, again, I understand, not trying to be like, overly edgy with it, but they've got to quit saying that Lex Luger is done playing with kids.
Yeah.
I'm just done.
Yeah.
But
what's funny is you mentioned that last week and I was like, it probably wasn't that big of a deal. But at the very beginning of this episode, they showed the clip package from the end of last week, where you've got Hogan and Luger sitting in the ring together. And Luger says, I'm tired of playing with children. And Mean Gene has this look on his face like, what did you just say?
Mean Gene tries to be the constant professional, but him and I are on the same wavelength here where he's just like, could have phrased that better.
Yeah. If you go back and
I would
watch
have even took beating children. I'm done beating up children. Mean Gene's like, yeah, that's a good thing to say publicly. Like, set the precedent of when you're going to stop child abuse.
It's not 1995.
Oh my God. So they're talking about how Savage has been injured by Scott Norton and it's just a crazy bear hug and just his amazing coconut pecs. He's saying it's now 2.5 on 4 because Savage is half a man. Bobby Heenan, I will say on a lot of episodes, it does seem, and I'm not trying to be sacrilegious here or disrespectful, it seems sometimes that Heenan is just kind of phoning it in. He's still the best thing there, but he's Bobby Heenan.
Right.
Which, I know you disagree. To me, he's the greatest of all time. And I know you disagree with that, but it really does seem at some points he's just kind of hanging out there. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'll go along with this, talk about Sting, talk some crap about Mongo and, eviscerate this idiot so he doesn't get too big of a head. But a lot of his lines, just when he's on, he's still definitely on. Phoning it in or not.
No, absolutely.
They bring up how Luger was the youngest player ever. I don't know if that record still stands in the Canadian Football League at age 19. I put down that I really wish I could get into the Canadian Football League and be like, NFL, brother, I'm a Saskatchewan Rough Rider fan. And then be like, you could be a Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan. And we're just like, I guess we could put our differences aside for friendship. And everyone's just like, what the fuck are those guys talking about?
What's even happening?
Canada has football?
Some mutated form of it, yes. So Luger looks fucking great, by the way.
Oh, he is just shredded.
He's fucking jacked to the gills.
Shredded like Pepper Jack.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Yeah, the finish of this match annoyed me because I realized while I was watching it, because I watched this episode twice, once just for the sake of watching it and enjoying myself, and the other to take notes for this episode. The very first time I was watching it, because I don't know what happens in the early days of WCW, I don't know what the finishes are. He gets Hogan in that torture rack. I'm hyped. I'm thinking for
great.
a fucking second, they're actually going to let Luger beat Hogan, and we're going to start they're going to start a new era of wrestling.
Nope.
That's what they needed to fucking do on episode 2, but instead they opt for the other finish where Hogan goes over and then the Dungeon of Doom comes out and fucks everything up because they want to push War Games, which is coming up that Sunday, which nobody fucking remembers. But if you had Luger go over Hogan on the second episode of Monday Nitro, that would have been talked about literally until today.
And Hogan really didn't go over because of this disqualification.
He was going to win with that fucking leg drop.
No, at some point, if they wouldn't have hit, if they weren't trying to build to a pay-per-view and have a screwy finish and just, be able to come up to the, build up to the promo they're about to do after this, he's going to hit him with that damn leg drop.
No.
The boot, leg drop, 1, 2, 3, I don't know. I watched this match 3 times, and the only parts I liked were when he got him up in the torture rack, because the torture rack always gets me hyped.
Oh, it's great.
And when Luger no-sold a snap suplex from Hogan, and then when Hogan did the same thing after, I was like, that's terrible.
See, I totally disagree with you. I thought it was brilliant. So he does the suplex and he no-sells it. Luger stands up, no-sells it. The crowd goes apeshit. They're like, oh, here we go. We've got somebody who's coming in and stepping all over Hulk Hogan. So he throws the suplex on Hulk. Hulk no-sells it, and the other half of the audience, because this audience was very divided on who they wanted to cheer for, whether it was going to be Hogan or Luger, the other half now steps up and says, no, Hogan is the real fucking deal.
They were on fire.
The crowd was on fire. I thought this was
sizzling and smoking.
When Hogan was doing, he did the fucking, he did the drop toe hold, he had the hammerlock, he had the mat game in the very beginning of the match. It looked good. It looked really good when he was working with Luger here. For a guy that size who can't move around real well, we saw him last week, he could barely do anything against Big Bubba Rogers.
He's having a very different match.
It's a very different match.
Which is nice to see.
But when Bubba Rogers is the only thing moving in the entire ring, and then you get him against Lex Luger.
And then you put him on Saturday night. What the hell?
Yeah. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Talk about injustice.
But they
talk about your crimes.
They just made this match feel as big as it needed to feel for being the world title main event. This should have been last week, but they wanted to get people hyped for the fact that Lex Luger was coming to WCW. So being this was the second match, this was the first night that you had pyro, that you had the arena, you had all of this cool shit. The commentary was on point. The crowd was into it.
It's a great presentation.
They should have had Luger go over. They should have done something big and new, but they wanted to push for this shitty pay-per-view that nobody remembers. Period.
But it's such a good presentation, but if I poop in a box and cover it in a bunch of sparkles and stuff, it's not going to change what's in that box.
It does change what's in that
box. The outside
box.
of the box can be great and amazing and just awesome, but as soon as you open it inside, no.
That's what a lot of wrestling fans want to see, though.
Slug.
That's what a lot of people want to see. I
don't think so.
Was the Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels match good?
Oh, it was great.
No, it wasn't.
It was
terrible.
Great. No, it was amazing.
That is one of the amazing. That's the thing. It's not good, but that's why it's good, is because it's not good, is because Shawn Michaels is fucking him around the entire time. If you look at it at face value, that's a garbage shit match. It makes no fucking sense.
There's a difference between Shawn Michaels going out, and honestly, he didn't oversell that entire match. I think that match is great entertaining. Yeah, it's not the physical contest, but that match is funner than almost, besides the Scott Norton match with Randy Savage was great, more fun.
I was going to say something.
He's like, yeah, it's funner, brother. No, it was more fun and a lot more entertaining than most of the stuff on this. I think this is a gigantic drop down from last week.
I completely disagree with you. I couldn't imagine feeling that way at all. I couldn't imagine being that wrong.
After the Sabu match, okay, Savage and Norton is pretty cool just because, Scott Norton is out there large and in charge, and he's just whipping the dog piss out of Savage, from pillar to post, from coast to coast. But after the Sabu Alex Wright match, it just definitely takes a nosedive.
See, I don't think it nosedives until after the leg drop and after actually, honestly, I'll even say after Hogan kicks out of the torture rack and he starts hulking up, that's when this
Well,
That's when the show starts going downhill for me, and the snowball intensifies as soon as the Dungeon of Doom hits the ring.
Yeah, no,
Once
the
that
officiating
happens,
is because Hogan's grabbing the ref and everything while he's in the torch track. This officiating, we all know Hulk Hogan plays above the rules. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't fucking matter.
But still, when you've had so much bad officiating, it just adds on layer and layer and layer of this just bad ref lasagna.
Right.
It is the worst kind of lasagna.
The reffing was atrocious, no two ways about it, but the actual match quality prior to that, every match I think was good here. Every match in its own way, for its own reasons, for its own story building, or for its own technical expertise, was really, really top quality here. It's a shame that the actual company had to decide poor decisions to fuck it up because they wanted to build to something else. Which, the very end of the episode, you know, after the Dungeon of Doom leaves, they get broken up by everybody else who's going to be wrestling at War Games, and they've got, you know, obviously Vader's not going to be there, so they're going to replace him with Lex Luger. Everybody can see it for a country mile.
Except for Hulk Hogan.
Except for Hulk Hogan.
And we can get into that, but the DOD hits the ring. Ming, Zodiac, the Sharkalange, Kamala, Kevin Sullivan, Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers, Mini Kiss, Blazy Dead Homie, Vladislav Trichik from the 1980s CCCP Olympic hockey team. Just everybody from every
crowd. Don't forget Peter Criss was out there too, man. He's trying to get his in.
Yeah, Peter Criss from Kiss and Mini Kiss, which is sad because at some point Kiss will be on Nitro.
Yep.
And the kid, God, I can't wait till we cover the Kiss demon. Just right up there with Disco Inferno's the epitome of wrestling.
Them and ICP both.
Oh, Sting and Savage do hit the ring, and then they're going on about how the Dungeon of Doom didn't attack Lex Luger. They keep going on. It's another promo with the same guys from last week, and it's just like I said. It's fine if you do that last week. But this week, it kind of felt more formulaic because you had the great international flavor opener, but you didn't really have the mid-card matches. Yeah, you can say Sting and Flair last week wasn't great. You had another match putting over Sting, but I still think Ric Flair, even sleeping, is going to be better to take on Sting than a fully alert VK Wall Street.
That's just not true.
But that's your opinion. But anyway, but then you just get another promo with these guys talking to finish the show. And it just, all the energy just gets sucked right out of the room.
Absolutely. I was thinking about it. I think the way they should have done this, and of course I'm going to go back on my fantasy tangent of Luger again, which is hilarious because I never thought I would ever say anything nice about Lex Luger. But here I am, not only praising him, but thinking that this whole episode could have been significantly improved with his, presence being more deliberate, I guess. If they did the Dungeon of Doom and everybody rushing to the ring and having this conversation after the end of the Macho Man Randy Savage match, and they talked about everything there, and then we have everybody disperses the ring except for Luger and Hogan, and now you've got these two in the ring because they're about to have this title match, and then Hulk realizes, hey, this guy's about to be my partner this Sunday, and then Luger goes over.
Well,
imagine how fucking crazy that would be for War Games if you've got the newly crowned WCW champion who has to work alongside Hulk Hogan, who did not want to work alongside him in the first place, and the only reason he has to is because Vader's gone, and you close the show on a brand new WCW champion, you get all of the same plot points in that you needed for the next pay-per-view, and you've got this giant turn of the...
Way more exciting.
Way more
than
exciting.
what we got at the end, because they're just stuttering through this.
Stuttering.
It's just ridiculous.
It's a fucking mess.
It's like me talking to a pretty woman.
And I know, I know we're talking about this 24 years removed in hindsight. Obviously,
a messy promo is a messy promo.
It's a messy promo. It's a messy decision to make.
Sting is taking forever to just come out and say that he wants Luger to replace him.
Yeah.
And Savage has the best line saying, hell to the no.
Great.
Oh, the big hell no. And then it takes 5 more minutes for Hogan's like, wait, are you saying you want Luger to replace Vader? It's like, yes, everyone else in the ring has been arguing about this for a good solid 3 minutes, Hogan.
Listen here, Mr. Hollywood actor. We understand that you can come up with this a little bit quicker. Come on.
No,
Crowd
it
is
took
waiting.
him forever, and it's just like I said, along with the just layers of bad officiating, when you just have all the energy being sucked out, everything else that is just could be really hidden from it and kind of masked and pushed to the back. It's just at the forefront because there's just nothing else going on except just this crap promo. They're all arguing. Like Jimmy Hart's like, it's the American land of the free and innocent until proven guilty. And I was like, man, I really want to hire Jimmy Hart as my lawyer to take on all these damn parking tickets. I'd probably end up with like going to jail for the rest of my life. He's just like in there screaming with like me airbrush on the back of his jacket.
Oh, yeah.
With the bullhorn. You can see Harriet. He couldn't have parked there. He's really old, baby. But it comes down to the end. Luger does agree to being their partner for Sunday as long as he gets another title shot.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Heenan, at the last line of the night, best line of the night, says that Mongo's dog was like a tarantula in a derby. And that's what we get to sell the pay-per-view coming up.
Yep.
Oh, so
fucking wonderful.
You said you wanted to start the new thing of our rating system, and we're not doing stars and candy bars or anything like that. It is going to be, would you watch next week? So I think I already know your answer. Would you watch next week?
I would.
You would. See, I would tune in, but I swear to God, if I had to watch another thing like this, I probably wouldn't tune into the next episode.
Yeah, there was definitely... There's
officiating.
The officiating was awful.
Oh, and you can have...
We've said that like 15 times now.
I'm sorry. I know, like, we're just reiterating, over and over and over how just shit-ass wrong a lot of this officiating was.
Right.
Like, just how it got pretty atrocious and just pretty foul. And I'm sorry, but I want to give you quality entertainment, but I'm not giving that. Like, yeah. I can't make chickpea salad with chicken shit.
It's definitely difficult, but with the match quality that we were given with all of the... just all of the performance from the wrestlers, the commentating team doing such a good job overall. There's always hiccups when you've got Mongo on the booth, but what can you do? Overall, I thought this was a giant step up from the week before. I would have been very glad to have tuned in this week after watching the week prior if I would have said, you know what, I'm going to give this one more shot, but after this Mall of America bullshit, I don't want to tune in anymore, which is very much how I felt.
We're on very different spectrums. I find that funny that we're on such... opposite sides.
We always are.
Of what we thought. Because I messaged you when I was watching, I was like, man, this is terrible. You're like, this is great. I was like, God damn it, this is what I have to work with every Monday.
Yeah, I thought this was so much better than the very first episode. This is what I wish the first episode would have been. There was a lot of hype going on. There was giant matches. There was good work. Not that there wasn't good work last week, but it was just not to the caliber. You had 3 matches, 2 of which were good to okay, 1 match that really wasn't that good that should have been much better. This week you had 4 matches, all of which were good, but 2 or 3 had screwy finishes. Both of them you had a terrible closer.
And the DOD, you have the same finish to 2 matches.
Yeah, what the fuck
Dungeon
is
of
that?
Doom coming out and just attack. And I understand they're trying to put over the Savage isn't 100% and they're taking him out. And then they have to set up everything with Luger. But man, this all could have been done at the end of the Savage Norton match.
Yeah, and then you could have had one more match to close the show on a much bigger level, and it would have had more weight because they're now 2 former competitors who now have to tag team together this Sunday, which always creates a dichotomy. Then you come on the Sunday and you're wondering what the fuck's going to happen. I would have tuned into War Games, which I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to fucking watch War Games.
That's what I was going to ask you. We have, would you watch next week? Would you have bought the pay-per-view?
No.
Okay. I would not want to, but I would have just to see Arn Anderson kicking Ric Flair's ass.
Yeah.
That was the only selling point for this entire pay-per-view they had me on was just Big Daddy Arn Anderson just spine-bustering the hell out of Ric Flair. Yeah. I would have forked out, I don't know how much they charged back then at that point or what the, inflation ratio was. I would have forked it out just to see that match.
For sure. Yeah, if
that's the only thing they're really building me on.
No, what else was on the card? They had a promo in the middle which we didn't cover. They had a promo for War Games sometime in the middle of this episode, but quite frankly, I tuned out of it.
It just seemed like the WCW Saturday Night.
Yeah.
We had a giant argument about WCW Saturday Night too. And I was like, it's so good. And you're like, it's so bad.
It was not good, man.
Which I know we can better use better things, but no, I think a lot of WCW Saturday Night is pretty phenomenal. You go back and watch it. It's a pretty damn good B show. I'm going to do my best to not turn this into a WCW Saturday Night podcast. So, but
the day you do that, I'm turning this into a Thunder podcast.
My God, I can't. So when we were originally coming up with this, it was going to be Smoky Mountain, and then we decided to do Nitro. And then I was like, oh, wait, we should do a Thunder podcast. And you're like, oh, no, wait, we should just do an entertaining professional podcast about things people care about. But anyway, so you want to lead us out here?
Definitely. First of all, before I lead us out, I want to give a little apology here for any of the sound clips that might be bubbling and popping. For some reason, our PC is doing that today. I'm going to edit all of those out as best as I can, but if you heard any of those today, big sorry on that. We're going to work on that next week here. But aside from that, I think we had a really good episode here. I would watch next week. You would watch next week, but very tentatively.
Oh, yeah, you get probably what I... If next week's episode isn't good, it's going to be the end of the podcast.
Hey,
I'm just kidding. I'm here till the wheels fall off. I can't wait till we actually review the WCW Nitro episode that made me stop watching Nitro altogether.
Really?
It's I think it's early 2000, maybe late 1999.
Really? It happened in 2000? Huh? Who would have thought?
Yeah. Who would have thought that's when the product would have gotten that shit ass bad?
Well, until then, we're not going to see that for another 6 years now. So
Jesus God.
we're gonna have to figure out a faster upload schedule, I think, if we're going to try to get through this in the next 5-6 years.
I hope you all enjoy getting up every Monday morning and listen to our voices as much as we do. You don't have to do it at 6 a.m.
No, my God.
Thank God I don't get paid for this. I would quit. Any job that makes me wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning is just not worth it.
No, not at all.
Even if it was oiling down Scott Norton's coconut pecs. I'm sorry, Scott. It's too early. I'm too tired to enjoy you. My eyes are just glued shut. I can't even check out your impressive physique. I'm
Put
sorry.
your own fucking spandex on. It's Monday, God damn it.
Let me get a crowbar and just jerk this up over your damn just beef shoulder.
All right, and on that, I think we're done with this episode. Once again, peace, everyone. Mike Ogden. We're going to play ourselves out now. Everybody have a great Monday morning. Thanks once again. Bye-bye.